Andre Ward gives Caleb Plant the blueprint to beat Canelo. Payday. You want payday? I know that Alvarez. Can he follow it? We're going to talk about that in this video. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Listen, throw a like on the video. It goes a long way. Reach one, teach one. Helps others find the content that they could be looking for with that simple and free gesture. So throw a like on the video. Now, Andre Ward, he did a recent interview and he expressed basically the chances that Caleb Plant has and what's the best approach, right, to fight a guy like Canelo Alvarez. We know Canelo's a great fighter, skilled fighter. This is what Andre Ward had to say. Quote, I'm not a believer when you face a guy that's powerful or a guy that's supposed to have punching power that you're supposed to avoid him and being perfect for 12 rounds. Like, I don't believe in that. I like to go in and rattle their cage. In fact, you gotta rattle the cage. What I mean by that is that sometimes you gotta go to that power and smother it. You gotta let them know, whoever it is, hey, you could get hurt too. And then that enables you to box and do what you need to do. So it's a mixture of everything. Caleb Plant understands that. He's a high IQ fighter. This is what Andre Ward had to say. Andre Ward continues, you may have your bread and butter, like, hey, I'm a box, but I've never seen it work when you have a pure boxer. He said, I'm talking about Pernell Whitaker or something. He's different. He's a rare breed. I'm talking about modern day fighters when they don't really have any physical strength and don't have any power, and they just think they could pick and poke for 12 rounds and not get hit. That rarely works. Caleb is a guy that has more power than they realize. Starting to get spicy. He says Caleb is a guy that has more power than they realize. I think he's physically strong. I just think it's always crazy until you do it. It's easy for fans to choose. The easy pick is Canelo because of history and everything he's accomplished. But I'm going to support Caleb, win, lose, or draw. But I think he has a great opportunity to go out there and shock the world. He just needs to put his mental on and make it happen. Boom. And that's coming from a GOAT, Andre Ward, undefeated. He retired undefeated, illustrious career. And what better motivation is there to hype you up than to hear these type of words from a great like Andre Ward? Now, I've been doing boxing, like covering boxing for quite some time now. In the digital age, digital mob, let's get it. I know that a lot of people are going to hear this that are Canelo fans, the Cinnabons, Chupapi Muñeño, and they're going to go crazy and a lot of outlandish comments. This is the nature of the business. You know, people are going to say stuff like, you know, anytime you see a fighter looking good on the pads or in the heavy bag, oh, pads don't hit bag, bags don't hit bag, yada, yada, yada. So in me talking about what Andre Ward said and his message to the Caleb Plant fight, people are going to say Andre Ward can't fight for you. Look, there, I'm right there. You see me? Look, getting that work in. Look, I told you I've been here for a minute. Man, look. Yeah, I didn't even know this picture was up. I remember that day though. So anyway, sorry, small detour. I told you I've been in the game. So with Andre Ward, he's not the trainer of Caleb Plant. He can't make Caleb Plant fight for him. He can't give him strength or anything. But what he can do is whatever they discussed when they had that meetup when Caleb Plant came to his gym, and he could get your head on the right track and put you in the right direction and inspire you, because who wouldn't be inspired by somebody like Andre Ward? God-fearing man, disciplined, undefeated, beast, gold medalist. You know, he's a thorough athlete. He's a true athlete. So I like this message from Andre Ward, and I actually agree with everything he said here. He says you got to go in just because someone's a puncher. Like, you can't allow a guy to live in his own aura, if you know what I mean. And what I mean by that is people have these auras, like Mike Tyson. He's probably the most famous for having an aura. And he was unbeatable. His power is too crazy. So you have a choice. You can fight him and believe in everything that they said and believe he's immortal, or you can put all that aside, swallow pride, and be like, nah, man, he a regular person just like me. He bleeds just like me, right? So you can't allow a person's aura to supersede them, and then your game plan falters because you think they're invincible. And I've even seen that in fights where a particular fighter early in the fight, maybe they fight the fighter almost scared or like they're believing in the aura, and then when the killer fighter instinct comes in because they're down on the scorecards, they have more success, but it's too little too late. You see what I'm saying? And boxing works like that. It's like you discover something, but you discovered it too little too late. When you bit down and you just said, oh man, I got to get this done. I need a knockout to win. You had better success. So imagine if you would have had that same faith and belief early on in the fight, then you could have won that fight. And I can think of several fights off the top of my head where that was the case, where a fighter clearly had the tools to beat somebody, but you got to put it all. That's boxing for you. Under the bright lights, you got to put it all together and make it make sense. So I like this advice from Andre Ward. Very, very good stuff. He's saying rattle the cage of Canelo. You can't let Canelo has achieved a lot. You can't just let him sit back and feel like he's the Don, and you got to ruffle his feathers, rattle the cage, ruffle his feathers, whatever you want to call it. And I firmly believe that. And if this advice is coming from anybody, then you can take it from somebody who we know, like Andre Ward, actually put this into practice. Because a lot of people could tell you, there's people that probably did their drug-free commercials that do drugs. You know what I mean? They got paid to do something and they tell you, hey, don't do drugs. And then they do drugs. But that's not the case when it comes to Andre Ward giving this advice. He says you got to smother the power and go into that wheelhouse and rattle, shake stuff up. And we've seen him do that to Chad Dawson. We've seen him do that to Sergey Kovalev. So we know he's a practitioner of what he's saying, which makes it even better because, again, you could get advice from anybody. It could be good, could be bad, but some people can't put that advice that they're giving into practice. We know that is not the case for Andre Ward. So again, I know the Canelo fans are going to be angry because Andre Ward said that he's rocking with Caleb Plant and saying he has a chance to shock the world. But what a coincidence that you have an actual gold medalist and Olympian and a hell of a fighter, an undefeated fighter, a guy who retired undefeated, who's doing commentary, represents the Bay Area just like me. Let's get it. And he's giving you an objective commentary. He didn't really say anything bad. If you listen to all the quotes I read, if not, rewind it. Listen to all the quotes I read. He didn't really say anything bad about Canelo at all. He said Canelo has a history and all the things he's accomplished. So that's real boxing talk for you. That's real boxing talk. And here's Exhibit A of where it was put into practice, where Kovalev got stopped. He got his butt stopped by SOG. But that's real boxing talk. I see a lot of the Canelo fans, like if you even think Caleb Plant has a shot, if you say these things, they'll say you're stupid, a bunch of schoolyard name calling and all that. But whatever. I'm going to say what I've always said, and I believe that Caleb Plant does have a chance to win. I don't know who I'm picking for this particular fight, but I agree with Andre Ward in the sense that Caleb Plant, given the right attitude and game plan, he definitely could beat Canelo. I don't know what or when this change has happened, but people went from seeing Canelo in fights where he lacks stamina in the second half to thinking he's invincible. And if you push the action on Canelo, you don't know what his stamina is going to be like, right? I feel like if you look at a lot of his DAZN fights outside of maybe Danny Jacobs was the only one in the second half pushed the pace, and he didn't get dropped or stopped by Canelo Alvarez, and he pushed the pace, and then you seen Canelo get tired, right? So he's the same person, you know? He's the same person. So at the end of the day, he can be beat. We've seen him. I mean, at the end of the day, the easiest argument is we've seen him beat by Floyd Mayweather. And truth be told, he does look like he's improved, but he also hasn't fought a tactician or technician like Floyd Mayweather really since. And then when he did fight someone who had that Cuban style that you could say was similar, he lost to him, in my opinion, which was Erislandy Lara. So I think it's a good fight. Caleb Plant can't go in there like stupid cocky and thinking, you know, he's just going to dog walk Canelo, because Canelo's been at this level for years. So I think it'll be ultimately a great fight. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. I will be covering this fight extensively on the channel. So if you like that, subscribe to the channel. Props to Andre Ward for his commentary. I agree. You got to shake things up, rattle Canelo, make Canelo feel like, imagine Canelo at a deficit. Imagine if he got dropped early like Ryan Garcia in the second. We don't know how Canelo will act because he's so used to being in the driver's seat and leading the scoreboard. So what do you do when you're trailing? I think that is a testimony to a team more than anything else. If you watch the Golden State Warriors and they're trailing by 20, 30 points, and then they rally and come back, then that's more of a testament to a team, as opposed to they're blowing everyone out and they're always in the lead no matter what. So we haven't really seen Canelo put in certain compromising positions where he has to hunt and chase someone down recently, and the person's picking off shots and they're bigger and they have some strength. I agree with Ward. A lot of people are sleeping on Caleb Plant's power, but we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. Drop your thoughts in the comment section, and I'm out.